Hey everybody, welcome to the newest episode of Capital of Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today we're going to recap our last video, which you can see here, which was the breakdown of the Vitaly Klitschko-Povetkin fight and the Miguel Cotto Delvin Rodriguez fight. We're going to recap that. We're going to start with the Cotto-Rodriguez fight because it didn't go too long, and then we'll go into Klitschko-Povetkin. Go ahead and get them started.
All right, so this was a make-or-break fight for Miguel Cotto. This was a must-win because he had lost 2 fights in a row. The first one to Floyd Mayweather Jr., the second to Austin Trout. They were both at 154, and it was the Mayweather fight. He was looked at as the underdog, and then against Trout, they saw it more as even before the fight started. So with those 2 losses, he needed a win to get back to the upper echelon, and this is seen as his last hurrah. So from here on out, he has to get wins. Now in this fight, we expected Cotto to come into the fight in shape and offensively minded because he's being trained by Freddie Roach right now for this last run. We just wasn't sure about his defense against the durable Delvin Rodriguez, who is skilled and is a veteran, but when he has to step up to that next level fighting B+ to A class fighters, he's fallen short. And it was more of the same in this fight. It only went 3 rounds, and Cotto showed the vicious punching that he was known for, especially the left hook to the body, to take out Delvin Rodriguez in 3 rounds.
Yeah, and the way he did it, HBO was happy. The fans were happy. I mean, the fans were absolutely bananas for Cotto, and that shows that he's been, I believe, like the 3rd highest draw in boxing behind Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. And Canelo Alvarez is slowly creeping up there. He may have passed Cotto in this last year or so. But this was an opponent that they had picked specifically to make Cotto look good. And they passed with flying colors. Cotto looked spectacular. I mean, he stopped him very quickly. I don't think Delvin Rodriguez had been stopped that quickly before. I have to apologize. In our last video, we talked about Delvin Rodriguez only having 1 loss to Austin Trout, but in fact, he had 6 losses and 3 draws. But we did talk about how if he stepped up, he had lost. We were kind of getting him confused with another Rodriguez, and it's just so many Rodriguezes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But, you know, it is what it is. Now to a few things that I wanted to point out that I really was not too enthused about. The first thing was I saw that Miguel Cotto had absolutely no head movement at all. Now, against Delvin Rodriguez, it's not that big of a deal because, as you see, he knocked him out in the 3rd round. And he didn't really get a lot of firepower to make him move his head. I think he stood in the ring maybe once or twice and put his hand down and did a little, you know, shoulder movement here and there. But he walked straight towards Rodriguez with no head movement at all. His jab was nice, but another thing, Rodriguez didn't throw his right hand to make Cotto stop throwing his left hook. And I think it was because he was so afraid of that left hook. So that was a good thing on Cotto's part. The next thing is that left hook came a little too wide for me at times. I like to teach people to throw the left hook really tight so it's not a lot of room for counters. And when Cotto threw his hook, I mean, this hand was all the way back here. And if you can see me, look at how much open space I have to be hit in. I mean, if Rob was here fighting me, he could hit me to the face. He could hit me with the uppercut before I get that hook over. Now, against a Delvin Rodriguez, he won't have to worry about that. But something that Roy Jones said kind of scared me. He was like, you know, I want to see this Cotto against Floyd Mayweather Jr. And if that Cotto fights Floyd Mayweather Jr., it's going to be very, very ugly for Miguel Cotto because Floyd will see that. And you best believe there will be some uppercuts and right hands coming when he decides he wants to throw that left hook. That's all I got to say about that.
I mean, the one thing that we did see from the fight is the aggression that was missing from his fights that since the Margarito and Manny Pacquiao fights. He wasn't as aggressive after those fights because he had taken so much punishment. Again, Rodriguez was not a risk to really hurt Cotto, but we really don't know because Cotto never really tires until the 7th or 8th round if you make it that far. So he was able to get that mentality that we have to get this guy out of here, and which he did. So I mean, I commend him for that. Right. But once he takes that step up, because he is a potential opponent for Saul Alvarez, Sergio Martinez, Irislandes Laura, up and coming young fighters who had not had that much damage taken on their bodies and who are fresher. And that can take advantage because Cotto's not tall. He's about 5'7". Yeah. And he was a big welterweight, but he's still a small middleweight, junior middleweight. So if you get a bigger junior middleweight who may be 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet, they're going to cause problems.
Oh, yeah. And now, don't get me wrong, like we said, it was a great performance from Cotto because he did what he was supposed to do, and he got rid of Rodriguez, and he got rid of him fast. So if we add those 2 little wrinkles that we talked about, shortening up his left hook and adding some head movement, yeah, that Cotto will be a problem. So that's the thing that I hope he works on in the future fights as he steps up and fights some of those young guys up and coming. Hopefully he's not that tied to Top Rank to where he can't get those fights. I would really like to see him against someone who could take those left hooks and come back, someone like a Alfredo Angulo, or someone like Erislandy Lara who would be able to give him some movement and some quick punching to force him to move his head. Angulo really wouldn't make him move his head a lot, but he would take those shots and keep coming. Lara will be able to move, have some quick counters that will make Cotto have to think twice about just walking in there with his head straight up and not moving. So, is there anything you want to add before we move on to the next one?
That's pretty much it from the Cotto-Rodriguez fight. Now let's move on to the Wladimir Klitschko-Povetkin fight.
Yeah, and this one, minus Povetkin making it to the final bell, pretty much went exactly how we thought it was going to go. I mean, Wladimir Klitschko was seemingly in control of the fight the whole time. He won every single round. But we have to really give kudos to Alexander Povetkin because he took some hellacious blows. He had a 250-pound man laying on him, wrestling him, and though he did hit the canvas a lot, I think he was knocked down officially 4 times and hit the canvas many more times. He still made it to the final bell, and he was still trying in the 12th round after being knocked silly quite a few times. That shows the heart of someone who really was trying to win, and we have to give him kudos for that. Now on to the breakdown of the fight. Rob and I had a conversation earlier where we were talking about how it seems that Klitschko was rushing a bit, and I was thinking that the pressure of Povetkin was making that happen because he was always coming forward and always in his face. He wasn't too effective with his punching, but his presence really made Klitschko uncomfortable. You want to break it down a little bit more, Rob?
Okay. So with Wladimir Klitschko, we know a few things. Great jab, the best jab in the business right now. 2, powerful right hand, puts people to sleep. Fights tall, keeps you at the end of this jab because he does not like to get hit in the face. He's been credited as having a weak chin from his early knockouts in his career. So he wants to keep you as far away from here as possible. So what Povetkin did is he had to get inside that jab and right hand. And he was tough enough to, because he ate some hellacious jabs, but he was quick enough and he had the right frame of mind to actually get inside that jab. But that was his only plan, was plan A. After that, he did not adjust or come into the fight with a plan B. this is what I like from Povetkin. Instead of trying to jab his way in, I mean, he did do some jabs to the body, which were seemingly effective at times. Both hands up to defend and thrust off his back feet to close the distance quickly, to get inside that jab. The problem is, he either threw one punch and he got tied up by Wladimir, who really can't fight on the inside. Or when Povetkin did come in, he tried to throw a wide left hook. But Wladimir, being the ring general he is, and having Jonathan Banks in his corner, knew to turn him away from the left. So if I'm coming in with the left here, he's turning this way. So I have to turn my body, and now I'm off balance. So I'm open for counters or just to keep him away from me.
He has to reset completely now that I've moved him over this way.
Now, another thing that he did not do is when he did get on the inside and Wladimir tied him up or leaned on him, he never punched with his free hand. So he's basically having a 250-pound man leaning on top of him, and he's fighting to stay on his feet, which tires him during the fight. So as the fight wore on, so did he, and he lost his legs.
Yeah, let's switch back.
Sorry.
It's weird. Alright, no problem. They loved it. Now, we did speak on that in the previous episode where Wladimir Klitschko has no qualms with grabbing your butt if you get too close. Because like Rob said, he does not like to fight in the inside. One thing I did like that he did do was he was very sneaky. It's against the rules, kind of, but I'm going to be Povetkin this time. What happens was when Povetkin would get in close, Wladimir would grab him here and with his right hand throw uppercuts to Povetkin's head. Now the ref is over here. He can't see that happening. Those punches hurt too. Now, a 250-pound man is leaning on you. He has you in a headlock and he's uppercutting you. I call that the big brother move. You know, when you're fighting your big brother and he puts you in the head like, ha ha, you can't hit me, ha ha, you know, he just messes with you. Not only do those punches have a little bit of power in them, they're very, very annoying. So that will make Povetkin a little more off his game because he's like, man, this guy is fouling me, the ref's not doing anything about it, and Rob is going to tell you what he should have done about it.
Now, while Wladimir did have a point taken away for leaning on him and throwing those uppercuts in the 11th round, if it was me, and that happened to me, and I have older cousins who I have fought with as a child, time to get dirty. Hit them in the knee, thigh, hips, or Mr. No-No.
Yeah.
At that point, that tells him, you're going to get off me, or this is going to get ugly even quicker. Because if someone's fouling you and there's nothing being done against with it, do what you have to do.
Exactly.
And while you're weakening with his dirty tricks, he's not weakening, so you have to take advantage of that situation. Hey, you may lose a point, but he'll gain respect from you.
Yeah, he's definitely going to stop it. If you throw a few uppercuts to those jewels, he will stop. Now, unfortunately, Povetkin did not do that, and Wladimir just kept tagging him and tagging him and tagging him. And then after he would tag him, he'd grab him, muscle him around the ring, maybe turn him a few times, hit him again, throw him to the ground. I mean, this was almost an MMA fight. I mean, Wladimir was in there doing whatever he wanted to do, and until the 11th round when he had that point taken, and he was still doing it. So the referee really was completely ineffective in this fight. And when you have a fighter that's doing that, I mean, kudos to him because he's doing what he has to do to win, and it's up to the referee to enforce the rules. It's up to the fighter to fight. So like Rob said, you gotta do what you gotta do. So you gotta hit him in the kneecap, you know, give him a little, no, stop that. One in the baby maker, hit him in the hips and around here in the sciatic nerve. That'll start really messing with his ability to move his legs. you just gotta do what you have to do. And the last thing is, because we talked about Povetkin's pressure, it caused Wladimir to rush a lot of his punches, and we believe that's why the knockout didn't come. When instead of him making his angles, like when he turned Povetkin and starting back over with his jab and landing a long right hand, later on in the fight, Klitschko was starting to throw lead hooks and jumping in with him. And so if he missed, he would just grab Povetkin. The same thing with the right hand. He would lean in with it instead of throwing it from a base of power and driving through with it. I think he did maybe like twice, and both times he did it, Povetkin was severely affected by it. And one time he threw a nice tight lead hook from here instead of jumping in like that, and Povetkin was like dancing all over the ring before he hit the canvas. So Wladimir really has to get more comfortable in that ring, knowing that guys are going to be coming after him like that, because he's got the ultimate equalizer, which is that power. And if he uses his physical attributes and ring IQ in the way that we believe he can, there's nobody that can stop this guy. I mean, his brother's going to retire soon. He's going to get that belt that he has, and he'll probably retire after that.
And see, the thing about it, this is not the only time this has happened to him. If you've ever seen the fight, he fought Samuel Peter, who crowded and invaded his space, which led to knockdowns for Peter. Even though Wladimir eventually won the fight, it was an example of someone who could impose their will and strength. I don't think Alexander Povetkin was strong enough to muscle or get Klitschko off of him, but someone like Sam Peter was. And maybe some other fighters that are very strong and muscular, maybe like Derek Chisora, even David Hay, who is athletic and is a workout warrior.
Yeah.
So we're going to look to the future at future opponents to see who will be able to institute that game plan, but bring more aspects to try to defeat Klitschko. I mean, he did what he had to do. He got the W. I believe this was his 15th straight win or title defense at heavyweight. So he's getting into that historical level of title defenses now.
Yeah. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share it with your friends. And subscribe to us on YouTube, because we got plenty more coming. And if you don't, I'm sending Rob to your house. Peace.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick crime, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.